Alright, mathematicians, here are your notes for Unit 7, Section 7.1. And we're starting the unit on percents. So the first thing we need to know is, what does percent mean? So let's start up here in the upper left-hand corner, and let's just fill in these notes. So percent is the word of the day. And the definition of percent, what it means, is out of 100. Out of 100. So when you see the word percent, you should think out of 100. Now the symbol for percent looks like that. And per cent, per 100, because there are 100 pennies in a dollar, right? 100 pennies, cents, per cent, out of 100. All right, you need to know that. You need to memorize that. Whenever you see the word percent, think out of 100. So that's the key. So let's draw a little key. All right. So out of 100, that is the key for this entire unit. If you can remember what percent means, that it means out of 100, you're going to do great in this unit. All right, so what does percent mean? Yep, out of 100. Okay, so let's use that in two different ways here. Let's use that fact to change percents to fractions. So the first example is, I'm going to give you a percent. Let's say 33%. And if I want you to write that as a fraction, well, you already know how to do it if you know what this symbol means. And this is the percent symbol, and that symbol means out of 100. So when you see 33%, you want to think 33 out of 100. When you see that symbol, you want to think out of 100. So 33% literally means 33 out of 100. And it's as simple as that. Okay, and you should kind of think about it, like related to your test scores. Would you like to earn a 33% on a test? I doubt it, because 33 is not very many out of 100. It's not even halfway. All right, let's try another example. Let's say you have 64%. Okay, so again, there's that symbol, percent. And right away, you should think percent means, yep, out of 100. So 64%, you can say 64, and instead of saying percent, you can say out of 100. 64 out of 100. And you would write that as 64 out of 100. And that'd be great, except both 64 and 100 can be divided, and so they can be reduced. They're even, so for sure they can both be reduced by 2. So we'll divide the top and the bottom by 2. And that gives us 32 out of 50, which is the same thing as 64 out of 100. But wait, we're not done, because both of these are even. So you can reduce it even further. You can divide by 2 again, in the numerator and in the denominator, and you get 16 out of 25. And all those values are equal. 64% is the same thing as 64 out of 100, which is the same as getting 32 out of 50, which is the same thing as getting 16 out of 25. What's the key? Percent means out of 100. That's the key, out of 100. All right, let's try this section down here. Now we're going to go back to from a fraction to a percent. So I'll give you an example. Let's say we have 7/10. And that's our fraction, and we want to change it to a percent. There's a really simple way, because now you know that percent means out of 100. So if we have 7 out of 10, and we want to relate that to how many out of 100 would that be, you just have to change the denominator to 100. So to get from 10 to 100, we have to multiply by 10. And remember the rule in a fraction, if you change the bottom of it, you have to change the top the same way. So you're multiplying by 10 over 10, which is really just multiplying by 1. When you multiply by 1, nothing really changes. And you will get, when you multiply fractions, just multiply straight across. And you will get 70 out of 100. Oh, out of 100. That's what percent means, out of 100. So 70 out of 100, 70%. Okay, so 7 out of 10. We changed the bottom to 100, so we had to change the top also. And once we know it's out of 100, we know that's percent. That is exactly what percent means. All right, we'll try another one. 3/5. Okay, if you want to change that to percent, percent means out of 100. So this is not 100. So I'm going to change 5 into 100. I'll have to multiply by 20. Oh, I have to multiply the numerator by 20 also. Whatever you do to the top of a fraction, you have to do to the bottom. Now just multiply straight across, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. 3 times 20 is 60. 5 times 20 is, there you go, 100. Out of 100, percent means out of 100. So 60 out of 100, that's the same thing as saying 60%. Again, what's the key? The key is out of 100. That's how we did the problems over here. We just related it to, we know that percent means out of 100. Out of 100. But we had to reduce. And then down over here, since it says out of a percent, I had to change these to out of 100. And then I can change it to percent. All right, one more section here. There are some common percents that you should probably know by heart. Actually, there's many of them. We're going to start with about 6 of them. So you should know 1/10 by heart. You should know 1/4 by heart. You should know 3/4 by heart. You shouldn't have to do much work for those. You should know 1/5 by heart, 1/2, and 1. All right, let's start with 1/2. I bet you know what half. If you got half of your test right, wouldn't that be 50%? Right? 50 out of 100. 50% is half. 1. 1 is the whole thing. One whole thing. 1 is 100%. You got it all right. One whole thing. The next one, I bet you know 1/4. If you cut $1 into 4 equal pieces, wouldn't that give you 25 cents? 25%. And so then you'll know what 3/4 is. If 1/4 is 25%, then 3/4 has to be 75%. Last two, 10%. 10% is 1/10. I'm sorry, 1/10 is 10%. And the last one, 1/5. If you cut $1 into 5 equal pieces, that would give you 20 cents in each section, so 20%. All right. I hope these notes are helpful. Please use them while you complete your homework. Just keep your notes right out in front of you and look at them while you complete your homework. Good luck.